then really the jury and the general public don't understand consent. I almost want to be very explicit, you feel me, how what I'm about to say right here, but it's like in a lot of the world believe that if you give up some on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and on Friday you say no, you've been letting me slut you out Monday through Thursday.
These people are arguing against even recognizing abuse is abuse and saying that that's something that we should root out. This is bad. Forget the criminal system. Forget criminal involvement. You can't even get people to acknowledge that we should not say this is okay to vilify victims.
A Black Lives Matter movement that is honored that the criminal legal system doesn't really ever give us justice. But then those same people who will march in one instance and acknowledge that police officer getting acquitted doesn't mean he's not guilty, will then come out here and be like, well, you can't say nothing because he got off.
I'm not surprised to see the reaction from people online already who are like celebrating in the street and running to comment that like he's going home.
Let me tell you why I've convened you here today. It's less about why I convened you here and more so what just happened to be happening as I convened y'all, and that's the Diddy verdict. Deep sigh. I'm sighing only because I'm exhausted. I'm preemptively exhausted at the stupidness that we are going to see in the next couple of weeks. Like, just exhausted. But Diddy was found, he was convicted on 2 counts and he was found not guilty on three of the more serious ones. So he was on basically the RICO charges, the racketeering, the trafficking, those ones. And they got him on basically just transporting somebody illegally to engage in prostitution. So that's the weakest of what he was convicted. And to the room.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, I'm sighing at everything. I'm sighing because I feel like so many celebrities now feel like they have the green light to be like, yes, he's off, we up. And that those are the same people who are thinking, oh, I too could get away with that as long as I have a good legal team. Like I too can use my business enterprises to cover up this sort of activity. I too can beat a woman's ass and it be caught on camera and it be caught that I bribed the hotel company from keeping the footage from going. Like, it's just wild to see. I mean, 50 Cent, Boosie, so many celebrities have already been championing him and proud of him. Can't wait for him to get home, all this stuff. And so it's definitely going to be a symbol. I also feel sad for his family. Not for nothing. Like I've always felt really devastated that his sons saw him as an example of appropriate behavior and were partying with him and were in a lot of these spaces and now see that he was able to get off. And yeah, he had to, sit in pretrial detention for a year, but like what's a year to the larger lifestyle that they have? And that his daughters are going to grow up in a world where they know that they can be pushed around in these ways and they can be taken advantage of those ways if they're vulnerable enough, and that nothing will happen to them unless their dad uses all of that power to do something about it. So it's just all around. I'm just like, log off.
I think that people online have been showing their ass since he was locked up. So like, I'm not surprised to see the reaction from people online already who are like celebrating in the street and running to comment that like he's going home. Like, first of all, he's not going home. That's one. But also like, I hope that no celebrity thinks that they can get away with what he can get away with, because Diddy is crazy, but he's not dumb. And he only got away with this because this is decades worth of hard work. The amount of stuff that he did and the way that he organized and the way that he orchestrated everything that he did, that he paid people off and did a lot of things and put people in positions of power to protect him. Y'all don't have that infrastructure. So like, someone eventually is going to go down for this. And I hope that this isn't the last time that like he has to face a judge, hopefully. I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, I'm sure some kind of state charges are going to follow in any event. I doubt this is like the end of his legal issues. I think if anything with this is a testament to is I think there are like several different issues. I think the way Diddy's being litigated in the court of public opinion is about, like, to me, regardless, he's convicted on that. Like, he is an abuser. That is fact. And I think the problem I have with this verdict is this verdict will be conflated to mean people will use it to pretend like he's absolved of having been an abuser. Like, we do not know that definitively to be the truth outside of how his legal case went. But I think what it really is, it speaks to, is like, juries don't understand RICO. They don't understand RICOs can be confusing, and prosecutors overuse RICO. I think this is probably this case to me is a testament to one. I mean, Diddy's always had a good legal defenses, and not Diddy has gotten off of several serious charges before in his past. So great lawyers, great team. Got to give it to them. But I think it's that the prosecutors misuse RICO. I think that they could have pursued these charges in a lot of different ways, but by using RICO, it complicated. I think it made it a more complicated thing for them to prove to their jury. I think that's what confused it. But I think they're gonna bring more state charges against him.
I hope so. But to Kevin's point, I wouldn't be so quick to say he's not going home. I mean, his defense is already saying we want him to come home pending sentencing, considering that the charges that he got convicted of are the lesser of the 5. And I think that, I could see, considering all his infrastructure and protection and all that he has around him negotiating some sort of like house arrest or limited.
We'll find out, because I mean this is happening right now. So like I'm still refreshing.
Hold on. So we're gonna get
not the sentencing, but they're requesting bail.
Yeah, okay. The bail.
Yeah, we're gonna find out while we're on this call, because the judge is gonna respond in the next 30 minutes. So
hey, for me, what this Diddy trial showed me in many ways is that a lot of the homophobic dudes that be really up in arms about the gay shit, quote unquote, they really cool with it as long as you upholding the rituals of whooping women ass. That's what I seen from this, as well as just thinking about the various ways of being like, hey, so y'all come at consciously about being an ally, specifically when it comes to trans women. And then y'all love to sensationalize is how trans women should not be putting their hands and fighting with women because they really. In every instance, including Diddy, when there is violence towards a woman from a man, there's those same men that jump out the window talking about the ethics and morals of biology and all of those shit, be the same men that be like, yeah, that bitch deserves to get ass whooped. Because something you said later I have to sit with is like, hey, in the public court of opinion, him being seen as an abuser, to me, is like twofold. To some of the people, they don't see him as being an abuser. They see it as just being some normalized interpersonal, a conflict. It's a toxic relationship. To other people, him being an abuser is seen as like cool. Yeah. Because I'm sitting with too, like, hey, the charges that he got found guilty of is the charges that was in proximity more to men being prostituted.
Yeah.
The charge he found not guilty of was more in proximity to the violence or to what he's being accused of, Daphne, Jane, you know what I'm saying, in Cassie. So it's just like, to me, it's a whole bunch of things to just unpack, which, you feel me? To me, that illustrates how power works, how domination works, and how a lot of folks be lost in the sauce. Because last thing I say in this little rant, next week, if Lil Nas X or some gay shit pop off, the same folks right now that's celebrating guilty charges on prostitution is going to become Bible thumpers. They're going to be thumping the Bible about the greatest verse and about how we all should be living in the confines of, you feel me, the divine nature of God. But this week, they celebrating freak offs, baby oil. They, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about just what, to me, it's just the hypocrisy of it all. You feel me? And just like, man.
I think that's really what it is. I mean, like, my defense attorney on my being a criminal defense attorney, how my position would be under the law is like, the defense is making the right move by trying to request him bail. That argument is completely legally sound, that yes, he was found guilty on the lesser charges, he should be granted bail. If they do give him bail, I think that's indicative of what's going to happen at sentencing. If they deny it, that suggests that he's probably going to get some time at sentencing. If they give him it, they're probably going to come up with some non-criminal, you know what I mean, no time. And my thing about Diddy is this. I'm not somebody jumping up and down like, oh, put him in jail, throw him under the jail, or, you know what I mean, or anything like that. It's not that I'm arguing like, oh, prison. I don't believe prison changes anything. That's not what I believe in. However, what my position is it's how these things, how the legal situation gets conflated with the people use what they want to do. To what Conscious is saying, it's two sides of people who think it's normal, who either refuse to see even as abuse at all, who think it's normal, or people who see it as that and still don't give a fuck. And those people will use the legal disposition as a means to gaslight you, like, about whether or not he's an abuser at all, just because people don't want to just admit and say outright, like the average person doesn't want to say outright, oh yeah, no, I know, and I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? So what they rather say is, oh no, or whatever, it's consensual, it's this, it's that, or whatever. And that's unfortunate, because when you see a legal system, a legal system that has an inability to understand that a woman that you are seeing get beaten, and is being beaten and manipulated and plied on drugs is not somebody who is not consensually engaging in this relationship and this dynamics. When you see a legal system refuse to recognize that, a jury refuse to recognize that, you have a society that will also continue to refuse to recognize that. And that's the greater problem for me, is that this will be just another instance of what is extreme violence, extreme abuse, and all of this that will just be swept under the rug. Diddy's gonna come out. I promise you, if Diddy gets out today, he will have a party tonight. He will be on the shade room, will be posting him. The comments will be, yes, King, he beat the charges. Y'all can't be mad at him. Y'all, justice was served. Blah, blah, blah. I know what they're going to say
For sure.
before I read it.
That's the craziest part, is like, okay, so we've been talking about a Black Lives Matter movement that has honored that the criminal legal system doesn't really ever give us justice. But then those same people who will march in one instance and acknowledge that a police officer getting acquitted doesn't mean he's not guilty, will then come out here and be like, well, you can't say nothing because he got off. And then those will be the same people saying that the criminal legal system is trying to bury Tory Lane or whatever. Like, it's just so inconsistent across the board. And ultimately, I just feel like, I've already seen that narrative. Okay, next up, we got to free Tory. Next up, we got to get this person out. DJs, I saw something going viral on Threads the other day, like a DJ being like, so we uncanceling R. Kelly, right?
I was just about to bring that up. I pulled it up. Bro, I was gagged by that, because there is a party. There's a Black gay party that happens twice a month in the Lower East Side. It's called Sunday Fun Day at the DL. And it's all hip hop. It's all hip hop. It's all R&B. I thought you didn't go out.
I don't. I've been there. I used to. I can't.
But it's really, I love that spot. But I remember about 3 weeks ago, my friends and I were there, and the DJ, I'm not even kidding you. The DJ played, he started with a Cassie song, went into Diddy, and went into R. Kelly. And the room was unfazed. And I was like, what?
I was at a wedding
happening?
the other day, and they played 3 R. Kelly songs. Out loud.
I just don't
out
get it.
Loud,
I don't.
In for the room.
I feel like I be trying to get away from some of the academic understandings of, you feel me, reality that I got from college. But the more shit get ugly, the more it be like, man, this is just like some textbook rape culture shit that we out and bought into. And then really the jury and the general public don't understand consent. Now, I almost want to be very explicit, you feel me, how what I'm about to say right here, but it's like the jury in a lot of the world believe that if you give up some pussy on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and on Friday you say no, you've been letting me slut you out Monday through Thursday. So if I whoop your ass and bring you back into a room, you feel me? Yeah, we all know in domestic violence, you know what I'm saying, the victim usually go back to the abuser. We all know it. You see what I'm saying? So we gonna justify it because she went back. So for me, it's like, man, boy, this shit crazy. And for me too, it show like, in terms of like rape culture and power and domination, a lot of individuals to me just desire to really just have that power. Because now it's going to be people in the comment section already seeing it now. That's because if he was white, he wouldn't even have these charges filed against him. And to me, it's just like, this report of Olay get there too. Like we finna hear the meal of recycled, non-responsive, accountability evading bullshit. But like, hey, it is what it is, man. Shout out to the children. Apparently, when it's somebody gay or trans come out, we got to start thinking about, what message are you sending to the children? Do you think it's just something good for the children to look up to? But apparently, Astroglide and traveling prostitutes and drugs from state to state, that shit could be celebrated. You know what I'm saying? Hey, next week, or when Nas come up, it's going to be about, hey, what type of, the parenting. What message you sending to that? But Diddy doing what he doing, crazy. And to me, I just kind of get it as a I feel like as a straight that it be in a barbershop all the time. To sensationalize some shit that has nothing to do with sexuality, and because it is sex, you feel me, it's seen as being some gay shit. This man was rubbing man juice on this, you know what I'm saying? This man, I'm talking about doing things I know typically in the barbershop to get you frowned upon, bounced up out of there. But because he was whooping women's ass, everybody in that whole team did it.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I get like. Right now, I need to line up right now. You see, it's looking bad. I got the head. When I go in there and get the lineup, I'm only here about, yeah, conscious. You said that he was going to get found. Yeah, I said on at least 2 of them charges. And he got found at least guilty on 2 of them charges. The 2, I think it's 2 I thought. No. But it's just like, to me, just a whole bunch of just craziness, man.
And that's my thing. It's like, it becomes this thing where people think if you call Diddy out on being an abuser, they think it's like, oh, this is like, oh, you see, like they show you, it's like he already is an abuser. I know that to be fact. We've seen it. We've witnessed it. There's nothing you can say. The criminal case does not change that, but that's what they'll pretend. They'll act like it's something. It becomes something. All of these cases, every time, it is exhausting the way these criminal cases of abusive in that abusive celebrities become like things that are happening to all of us in the community. It's like, oh, like you gotta sigh and feel exhausted. You expect it to like go back and forth. You expect it to be in. It's basically like a cultural fight because it's this fight to whether or not to maintain this system as it is. You know what I mean? To continue to allow the celebration and the acceptance of this kind of abuse. And like my thing is, again, I always say I wouldn't have any problem if people were there. If this were a conversation about whether or not to throw under the jail or whatever, that would be a different thing. It's like people don't even want to. These people are arguing against even recognizing abuse is abuse and saying that that's something that we should root out. This is bad. This is something that we should call out. Like, forget the criminal system, forget criminal involvement. You can't even get people to acknowledge that we should not continue to foster these kind of like, to say this is okay, to vilify victims, you know, because that's really what the issue really is. It's about the fact that we this kind of abuse is routine in our communities, is routine, and everybody, and there's constant consensus that is all right, that we all know. Whenever we see a black person confused of anything by a white person, the first thing your first thought is, oh well, he shouldn't have been with no white woman, or shouldn't have been with this white man, or whatever it is, because your implication is they'd be okay, they'd be safe from consequence if it was being done to black people. And this is not like, to me,
that
that's
was
the greater
main
issue.
narrative with Jonathan Majors. That was the main narrative. That's what he gets for being with a white woman. And it's like, okay, so if he was with a black woman doing that to her,
she wouldn't have told. She would have kept it.
Wouldn't have told, because she would have known how the legal system and police would have been leveraged against him, and she would have been his, as he said, his Coretta, standing by his side, or whatever the case may be.
The thing is that facts don't matter to people. Just like Megan Thee Stallion did not report Tory Lanez, and she tried to protect Tory Lanez, and this has been said over and over and over again. But because he was prosecuted and not by her, people still demonize her and say she was like, bro, I kept it to myself. Like, she didn't confirm it until months later on an Instagram live where she was like, I'm sick of this person antagonizing me when I didn't do anything to them. So it's kind of sickening. And I just wonder, because yes, this happens so often with black folks when we talk about like protecting black women, and then when black women come out, we discard them, depending on who the abuser is, though. Because if Cassie was a cast member on like Love and Hip Hop or something, and you know how they give all of those like talking heads, they give their testimonials, and she just told a story and we had no idea who she was talking about. She was talking about the trauma that she experienced. Audiences would sympathize with her and would believe her immediately at face value. But the second you introduce some man who maybe paid to produce some song from 1999, suddenly it just does not matter what the story is.
And it also proves that the whole argument of we can separate the art from the artist has always been at face value, just not a good faith argument. We know that the person is always infusing the art with their experiences, with their value, with their social location. And we also know that individuals usually make their connection to an individual through their art. And to me, R. Kelly, Puff Daddy, you feel me? Bill Cosby, all show that individuals have a hard time distinguishing the art from the artist and making that, you feel me, delineation, but also are willing to cape for the artist, based off how much they appreciate the art. We see that even with Kanye West antics. And for me, it just show like, hey, what we always, to me, what I always like to point out, even when it's like Tory Lanez, Meg Thee Stallion, or you feel me, R. Kelly, you know what I'm saying, who all went to jail, I always like to remind people, hey, the law is not the adjudicator of ethics and morals, man. It's gonna be found. Just because some like motherfucker lose something, you feel me, and you don't find it, it don't mean you didn't lose it though. You feel me? Or it don't mean nobody ain't steal it either. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like pointing out he got found guilty of the two. It don't, to me, it's like that's what he got found guilty of, but it don't mean, you feel me, like, you know, just like shit. But
and that's the conversation we really need to be having, because that was essentially his whole defense. Like, the defense got up there and was like, listen, you know, he be beating women, he be having crazy sex parties, he's wild, he has some nasty kinks, but none of that is RICO. None of that is the charges that they're trying to put for you. That's a crazy ass defense. Like, what the crazy defense? Like, yeah, he definitely whooped her. Yeah, he definitely did this. But like, him being nasty and him being sick doesn't mean that he deserves. And so we have to separate that idea that because somebody got off of charges does not mean, as you said, Olu, like, it does not mean that he's not an abuser. It does not mean that he is not a predator. It does not mean that he is not a safe person to be around. It does not mean that we should go back to supporting him and drink a Ciroc and whatever the case may be. Like, what we see is that what he does with his visibility and with his celebrity and with his money is he beats women up. He puts hits out on people to keep people silent, and he continues to pay people to engage in sex in ways that that make him feel good. And listen, I support sex workers. So even though it is illegal to do, and that's why he got those charges, that those were one of the two charges that he got. The point is also that, like, every sex worker that was coming up on and giving their testimony was describing like a hostile work environment. That you were working until Diddy told you to stop. You were sometimes working at gunpoint. You were working and forced to take drugs that you did not want to take. You were working and footage was being taken of you to use as blackmail in case you decided you want to say something about him afterward. The fact that he even like used that blackmail against Cassie and made her parents take out like refinance their mortgage or some shit like that. Like, it's just. But the point is, they didn't deny any of that. Like, the defense didn't even call any witnesses because they were just hoping, and the jury like proved them right in that sense, that people would admit he nasty, but he don't deserve to be this.
It really speaks to the reality is the criminal system as it pertains to abuse against women. The criminal system is the United States has a massive prison industrial complex that criminalizes particular populations. It over-criminalizes, it over-polices, it over-criminalizes, it over-incarcerates. So that's across the board. However, as it pertains to victims of abuse, of sexual or physical violence, especially where there are women concerned, but when it pertains to them getting any justice in the criminal system, that is a rarity. You will hear that from people, from most women, most people, most victims will tell you that they did not experience justice from the criminal system, because the criminal system is set up. Our laws, our rape laws, our abuse laws are all written with it in mind that women are property, that women can't consent, that all these different things. Like, I talk about this. Anybody watches any of my other videos has heard this a million times this year, but me talking about how the rape law has developed. Rape law used to be in this country up until very recent U.S. history. You could rape your wife because you could still rape your wife because it's considered that she was property. And we had rape laws that changed throughout the jurisdiction to be like this. Like, rape used to mean, in like places like Maryland, rape meant like rape means sex by force without consent. But what that used to mean in force, in some places, it would mean things like utmost resistance. It would be an utmost resistance guideline to say that if you didn't fight back, if they couldn't see physical scars and stuff like that, what they say is not rape. Or different jurisdictions wouldn't recognize sexual coercion. So any kind of threat, any kind of duress, anything that you under, not being acknowledged. And that's because we have a system that is set up to facilitate this, right? So that being said, I think this case is the perfect example of this. And I try not to, again, I'm a defense attorney. I never want to like vilify defense attorneys, because I never like when people get into the habit of like, making a defense attorney out to be evil based on who it is that you've represented, done these kind of things. You do what you got to do. However, this case is I would say, to speak to what Bria was saying, this is what I would call a white man's defense. Like, in the sense of like, hey, we are not saying, oh, we did these things, but if we focus on the technical charge, let's get very, very, and I'm not saying that's wrong. That is how the law should function, but it does not function for like that, for the average person, the average Black man, even that's in the criminal system. What's special here is that Diddy is a rich, powerful Black man, and his victims, who his victims are, all of the charges, what they basically did in the defense did this very explicitly in their crosses and in their directs and their closing, was to vilify the women, was to literally make it seem like these are some evil, ungrateful whores who consented to these dynamics XYZ, because they know at the end of the day it's about getting a jury that's willing to say, oh, despite what is happening here, despite what they are telling you, whatever it is, these, to what Conscious said, if I had sex with you all these other times, if there are any other positives in a relationship, if you in any way, whatever, then you are a willing participant in it. And so it's telling that what he did get convicted on, what he got convicted on is the charges that would make them out to be prostitutes. Like, I think that's interesting, is that he didn't get convicted on anything that had to do with their abuse, because they refused to acknowledge these people as victims. Like, we want to say, oh, they consented to this. But what they was convicted of is the thing that would belittle them the most. Oh, they are prostitutes, reducing them to prostitutes. You know what I mean? That's what I think is very, very, very telling. So that's what I think makes this case terrible, because it's I think it's a rise of you seeing, I don't think it's true. You can represent people who are accused of abuse. You're like, who are accused of committing abuse without vilifying victims, without like engaging in the nastiest kind of tactics. You can do that. I know you can. I've done it a million times. But this is a rise on a very large scale of us seeing that work successfully, because I think it didn't work. And Jonathan Majors attorneys did that there. They did it wrong. The way they did it in the court of public opinion, that did not work there. But now you're seeing on a much bigger scale it work. And I think you're going to see the resurgence of more people, like they can go just total vitriolic slut shaming women. Because that was what this was. This trial was, this is all consensual. They get money they get money and they have benefits. So it doesn't matter that he abuses them, that he drugs them, that he whatever. They don't have the ability to consent, to not consent. That's what it is. I see them as paid for a horse, so they can't decline him.
I have a couple of thoughts. One, did the bond hearing, just FYI, because I was really excited to get the announcement while we were here, but his bail hearing is at 5 p.m., so we won't hear it. But Diddy's attorneys are offering like a $1 million bond in exchange for his passport surrendering, and they're asking that he be sentenced to a maximum of 21 months, which I think is insane. But I wonder if the slut shaming approach to his defense is also indicative, or I guess I know that it is indicative, but I wonder if juries are more swayed by that argument, because we're living in a world that's like pedaling backwards. Like, even this week on Jubilee was Candace Owens arguing that like women who are sexually liberated are fundamentally less happy deep down inside, that the sexual liberation of women completely like removed them from the ability to be able to be fulfilled in life, because the only thing, this is what she's saying, she's like, the only thing that's fulfilling to women truly is having children. She's like, I'm a New York Times bestselling artist and I would give up all of my books for my kids.
Had children all of 2 seconds ago and kept it secret for the majority of I'm like, ma'am, you got them children 2 seconds ago.
You know what I'm saying? Your kids still young.
Also, we talking about this in a country, sorry to cut you off, but like we talking about childbirth and parenting being the pinnacle of womanhood in a country where childbirth can kill you, especially if you're a Black woman, where once the baby gets here, you have very little support from the state, or you are considered a moocher or a welfare queen or somebody who wants a handout, where your kids can be shot in their school, where your kids can grow up. And if you do make it past high school and college, they're going to experience all kinds of other bullshit. Like, let's keep it a buck. Being a parent, and I say this as a mother, and I love my child, but being a parent is terrifying in America, because there's so little control you have to protect your child or yourself.
I'm the only child.
I'm not going to even go for that. Like, it's actually really exhausting. And when I see like my childhood friends, I'm like, stay there for as long as you can.
I tell my friends all the time, don't have kids. Like and when my friends tell me that they're pregnant or that their girlfriends are pregnant, I react like we're still 17. I'm like, what are you going to do?
I know I'm a real adult now, because like when CJ went on my daddy Father's Day, he was like, oh, it'll be you soon. And I was like, Who are you talking to? What would you say, Daddy? We're children. Bria, where's your accent from? I love it. Before I got this dog.
New York.
That's a New York accent?
Yeah, girl.
I feel like maybe people don't have New York City accents no more because that sounded distinct to me in a way that no one
What it
sounds
sound
to
like?
me.
Well, you know what? I've been living in Georgia for the last like 5 years, but I don't think I
Yeah.
have a Southern accent.
Yeah,
No,
so
like,
that's it. It's the meshing of the two, definitely.
it was
Okay.
something. It's
Meshing of the
distinct.
two, for sure.
Alright.
Hey, but the more y'all keep on talking, the more I think about some shit. Also, I learned about college, about, you feel me, the split between public and private, and how they necessitate violence towards women. So the more you think about it, it's like, shit, it's technically Diddy's defense team used the same hubris to justify marital rape, right? And to me, when you bust down the idea of marital rape and how it was justified, it's about that split between public and private. And for me, it illustrates like, hey, the general public believe that if I'm financially taking care of you and publicly I'm showing you on the shoulder,
Yep.
if I'm whooping your ass in private, that's our business.
Right.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have anything to, almost as like government overreach, big government bad. The government can't tell me how, you feel me. Matter of fact, I seen what Charleston White told Cam Newton. You can't tell me how I whoop my hoe. If you tell me how I whoop my hoe, I hope you ready to get. I hope you prepared to get sent to the jail. I'm prepared to get sent to the jail or the cells or the hell or the cells. Like shit, like literally, I'm willing to go to war with you about being able to whoop my woman. That's what, like, in 20, you know what I'm saying? So to me, it's all a part of that, man. Like,
it's so interesting when you say it because I've had that conversation. I've had this conversation or this been thinking about this big picture idea. And I remember a guy I was representing when I was trying to make him understand that there's an order of protection and it does not matter like what you or your wife are saying, or like there is an order of protection now and the government will rearrest you. They will keep rearresting you every time you violate this. And I remember looking at him trying to like make him understand that he, an adult, and his wife, an adult, no longer had the right to decide what they wanted to do in the household. And it's so interesting because it's like that is such a dehumanizing thing that Black people and people of color and marginalized people do experience at larger rates, because we do have the government reaching into our homes, taking your children out, deciding you aren't this, you know what I mean, giving orders of protection, splitting up families. And so on one hand, when I normally think about that, that's the lens that I'm thinking of it in. And at the same time, you see the negative flip side, overextension of that idea of this thinking that also not only like should the government not be able to like have any say about what happens in my home, but also they shouldn't be able to protect anybody else in this. Anybody that's in this home that I consider underneath me in this hierarchy, which is what patriarchy says, this woman is underneath me or whatever. No one should be able to, I'm the number one authority here. And the fact that so many of us agree with that, despite I know many of us coming from households where we see what that looks like when there is a violent person in the household and nobody able to stop them, stand up to them or anything have you. So it's interesting.
Hey, women and children. That's the reason why women and children get talked about being the most vulnerable in my mind. And it's just like the law can justify so much violence towards women and children because they're seen as property. You can't tell me how to raise my kids. I want to beat the fuck out of my kids. They my kids. People really believe that.
That's so real.
I remember, I remember hearing that the jury watched the video of Diddy beating Cassie at the hotel hallway, but like the version that we saw in the media that like CNN shared was actually sped up, and that the version that they saw was longer, it was slower, and like they saw him pummel her several more times. So when I look at the charges, and they clearly know that her body was used and that he was using her for prostitution, but they believe that she was a willing participant and they don't believe that she was a victim, even though they have video evidence of her trying to leave and him not allowing her to. I'm just so confused how they watch that and they're just like, well, she clearly wanted to be there.
But because Kevin, that was on Thursday.
We vilify women we vilify people who we feel like got themselves into these situations. Like, you knew what you was doing. Like when you remember City High, what would you do? You remember that last verse? We'd be like, wait, hold up. You telling me your girl couldn't just go out and get a regular job? If I knew your girl, this is what I'd tell her. Like, and then he started just chastising her and lecturing her. And that's the bars drop for the song.
Get up
Think
on
about
your
that.
feet and get top.
Exactly. And that is his verse response. When you think about it, that is what our communal response is. You listen to a song about a woman singing her trials and tribulations, how she ended up into sex work in order. She was sexually abused. The man is in jail. This is the only way that she could provide for her family. She sings her pains for 3 verses, and then the comes in like, scratch the record. Let me tell you what's really real. Get your ass up off your feet. If other people could do it, and that was that's how people felt. That's how they feel. That's how people feel.
True. You're so right. You're so right. And I think that also came up because it goes back to, like, when we talk about police brutality, an 18-year-old black boy is a grown man who was looking at, versus like an 18-year-old white boy who does something, is like, don't ruin his life. He has so much ahead of him. And we're seeing that in this too. I don't think I fully understood like timeline and ages and stuff until the case, and seeing how young Cassie was when they got together. I'm like, okay, you put a young girl who is on the verge of a incredible career, and the man in her life who is incredibly powerful, and
who was her boss? I'm sorry, I always forget this, but like, you owned her.
Yeah, no, literally, because
contractually you owned her voice.
He built out a contract and an agreement that put him in complete control of her. And so now this girl, who also is like falling in love with this guy who controls her career, is being told, you should take these drugs and do this, and it'll make me happy. And people are like, stupid, I would never do that. Please, you were doing worse for less at that age.
I was. There's a song called 20s by Giveon that I'm obsessed with right now, and he talks about like the relationships that he had in his 20s, and he says, is anything really black and white when you're barely 22? And I think about it, Cassie was like 18.
Yeah.
I think she was 19 when she first signed to him, 18, 19 first signed to him. He waited until she was 21, her 21st birthday, to invite her to the you know what I'm saying, the freak off. To me, it's like, my nigga, you signed her to a 10 album deal when you first met her. Boy, you grooming. This text was grooming right here.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And I forget it all the time.
Think it's okay. Like, that's the reality, is like, they don't just think it's okay. They think it's something to aspire to. People, so many men, and the rest of us, everybody's conditioned to think it's okay, but so many men are being raised to think you are supposed to aspire to money and success and fame, because that's how you get women. It all is still based in demonizing women, because it's all about these women, these gold digging, money hungry women. They make it seem as though the system is this way because of us, not them, because women are willing to do whatever for a rich man. You know what I mean? You're supposed to aspire to be rich because those women will do whatever because your money, but it's still about making it about, it's this. Instead of it being about, we have this system, this patriarchal hierarchy that says men can abuse women, and the greater a man climbs, the more money, access, and power he has to be able to have control over you. That's abusive. What they say is that these women, they're responding to the dynamic we've created, where we will only go and be what we want, rich men. We're all gold diggers. We weaponize sex. We the ones who are only willing to do it. And so the way that they see it is, this gal's with this man, and they'll always see it as these gals are with this man because they know they have money. They know what it is. They know what it is, and they want them, and they were prepared to do everything because they have money, and so that's why them. That's what it is. We have systems that are not only built in misogyny and built by men, but they're built in with defenses. They're built in with ways to reframe the system as women's fault, women's creation.
And everything in our cultural norms enforces this, in the sense of when young girls are being groomed by and looked at by grown men, the girl is called fast.
Yeah.
Man is not called a predator. When men in our families are abusive and predatory and creepy, the girls are told to silence themselves so that person can still be comfortable at Thanksgiving or the family reunion or Christmas or Easter or whatever other holiday they're celebrating. And so all of the onus from a very young age falls on the girl to go change your clothes because men are going to be in the house. Be silent because men are going to be here. And why didn't you do this? And why didn't you tell him no? And why did you wear that? And it's
you stupid for not knowing. It's always you stupid. It always boils down to you. No matter what it is, you're dumb for not being. Even if a man lies to you and like actively is lying, like they're like, oh, well, you're the dummy for not being able to know that he was lying. So it's still on you.
Yeah.
I before was earlier on in like the whole Diddy thing was hoping that was really hoping that Young Miami would speak up and say something. And I think about her today, and I'm like, no, I didn't. Was there a
She
post? I just want to
posted
finish
something, it
my.
was just a meme going like this, like clock that.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I scratched everything I was about to say because I was about to give her cover.
I was like,
I was
wow.
going to say that originally
She celebrated. She said,
I was talking a lot of shit about her before, and I said when she tells her story, I'm going to ignore it because she needs to speak up. And I wrestled with whether or not that was fair or whether or not that was my internalized misogyny because I'm still a man, even though I'm a so like I know that that's still there. God is still working on me, but like I wish that she did speak up, and the fact that she can just for the benefit of it all, to me is insane. But I also wonder what kind of abuse she witnessed, what kind of shit she's seen, that she's like, this is normal and I'm gonna cash in so that I'm not on the other side of this, because this is, I think to some people like Young Miami, I'm sure that they think this is inevitable.
I must say, so I was always of the position that, especially now that we see how it has played out. Diddy is, first of all, we see that has been litigated. Like Diddy is somebody who will threaten your life, who will literally put a hit on you, blow up your car, do whatever the fuck, because you're on his bad side. Diddy is somebody dangerous to upset. And I also remember earlier in this case when there was a bunch of the issues of the judges having to admonish Diddy and his team because they think you're witness tampering and trying to intimidate witnesses from outside. So we already know how Diddy gives it up. So I always understood a hesitance upon people to speak up against Diddy, or like I understood when certain people, like I remember, I think it was like Kalina from Diddy Dirty Money, wasn't willing to back up Dawn and wasn't willing to back up and I was like, they are probably, and then they also showed that she was getting a bunch of calls from Diddy. So I was like, I can't in good faith like kick too many of these people's back in, because I can understand that they are scared of retaliation, and that's extra so now that you see Diddy managed to get off. I mean, like I said, you remember the trial with Shine? Diddy has got off for some shit Diddy has done before. Like we know that. I'm not shocked and I'm not surprised that those people were wary of an instance like
so
this.
you believe Shine?
Yeah, I believe Shine. Yeah, I believe Shine.
Young Miami has me blocked, so I can't see whatever she does.
Got you blocked?
That's
How you get
hilarious.
blocked?
What'd you say?
Damn it, Kevin.
I called her out last year for being a homophobic weirdo and then selling Pride merchandise.
That's
funny.
She's fucking losing.
I've honestly given Young Miami so much grace. I have not said one word about Young Miami this whole time because I felt like it's unfair. I don't see the point. It's like this man doing something and all, everybody turning their eye to go hate on what I'm like, she's a young girl herself. Like we talking about these women being exploited, abused, this and the next thing. Like, why are we not assuming that Young Miami is a victim in the same way that Cassie and all these other women in XYZ have? So
but
I've never been for kicking her back.
I hear you on that, but then here's my thing. Don't celebrate. Like, listen, you could be.
That's what I was about to say. Now that I see you out here talking about clocking and shit.
Yeah, but like, don't celebrate someone else's.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Hey,
like, even if
young,
I can't confirm or deny whether Young Miami has seen anything else, but I know for damn sure you saw the same Cassie video that we saw. You might have seen more. Like,
man, she in her 30s, man.
You've seen that. So
Young Miami got not just Young Miami, but even we need to be honest about that.
Respect, ain't saying nothing bad about you, Young Miami. I don't want no smoke with you and your Miami people at all. Yeah. But you're 31 years old. You're 31 years old.
But here's the thing: it's not just Young Miami though. It's also Diddy's latest baby mother,
the Asian girl
of the little girl Love.
Yeah, the Asian girl.
She was walking out of the courthouse, and people were asking like, "Are you nervous about him getting out and what that could mean for you?" And she was like, "I mean, he's never done anything violent to me." So the qualifier means he's done something violent to other women, and you're downplaying that because he's never done that to you yet. If that's really what it's at.
I'm raising
a baby girl.
I'm sure it's happening. Remember, think about us seeing, remember the kind of mind control we witnessed R. Kelly have. What was her name? It was Asia,
yeah, I know.
The one, the two particular girls, and I'm one
Savage, Jasmine
now.
Savage.
Yeah, like Jasmine Savage, and the other one is it's somebody A. And now that that one is free, you hear what it really is. It's like these people are under. They are, whether they look for you, they walking out and about and stuff. They aren't. You know what I mean? They have kids with them. They have XYZ. That man have all kind of control over them. So I don't expect. I didn't even feel no way about old girl's comment because like what else could she say? You know what I mean? Like, but Miami, this you have to chill the fuck out. You have to like
because
that says
also
I'm like
we read in Cassie's deposition that he forced her not only to shave her head, which makes me so sad because like we all thought that was iconic. I thought she was such a bad bitch. But like also he forced her to only wear white nails around him because he liked the
contrast.
He liked the contrast of her white nails on his black dick. And then Young Miami in every photo with Diddy only has white nails on. I'm like, girl, you went through the same thing. You were like, there's stories about you transporting drugs for him. We're not dumb. You just enjoyed it, or you just you know like you. But why she wants to maintain that relationship is crazy.
I think what you got to think about it is like the same way I have to remind myself that we are dealing with Cassie telling us all about this at the time in which she's telling, you know what I mean? Like at the end of her having gotten out and getting away from Diddy after a long time. Young Miami and these gals are in the first quarter of the time of the stint of the bid Cassie and a lot of these old like women have done with Diddy. You know, I think they're at a different phase in their indoctrination. They're at a different like place in what they're experiencing, and they're just not in their right state of mind. Like I think it's hard to remember sometimes, but in order for like victims become victims by being manipulated, being controlled, being coerced, and the mindset that what happens to them to keep them there is so much like psychological retraining and conditioning to be okay with this, to love your abuser, to come up with justifications to defend them, and in that they tend to end up being the most because they're going to say the things and defend their abuses, defend the situations and all these things that make them seem insufferable to you and make you not sympathetic with them and not care about, you know what I mean? Which ultimately allows it to continue, you know what I mean? Because we get fixated on, well, f them. Well, that bitch is annoying. She's stupid. She doesn't get it. She doesn't whatever. But that's the point, right? Like that's how they're being manipulated and abused. Like when I think of being with my college boyfriend who was very abusive, I was working myself into not trying to come up with ways in which he was not responsible for what he was doing or making him out to be, oh, he gone through this, all his trauma, XYZ, to not see the situation as what it is, to see it as some kind of like love story when it's really this, but it's because you're literally being abused, you're being manipulated, you're not in your right state of mind. So as insufferable and as annoying as a Young Miami might seem doing that, I gotta recognize that as like, that's a part of it. That is a part of it. And I can only imagine too, you think this is about to come out? You know, you think he about to come out and how he's about to business as usual. There will be accountability to be had. But I'm sure she expected a visit off of that one. Remember she did that episode of Carisha Please with Stassi interviewing her where she like tried to talk about, you know, her experience with Diddy and I'm sure we not seeing it. Clock it. It's probably a gal who inside a house right now nervous like nervous for what is this man going to do when if he gets out? What do we think? We think there's going to be no prices to pay behind the scenes for anybody perceived as speaking out against him or not standing by him loud enough or whatever.
Hey, but I feel like something you said earlier. Now I'm thinking about it. So if let's say he gets slapped on the wrist, let's say he get that 20 months that he asked for, whatever months he asked for, 21 months, whatever, right? Get out of jail. And you feel me? Or while he in federal jail, he gets brought some state charges against him. How would you think that's gonna impact like the public opinion of the witch hunt conspiracies?
I was like, oh, they're gonna say that. See, they're desperate to get this black man. That's why they use Rico. And again, there's always a little sliver of truth to the things that like the community gets a hold of and makes it. It is true that RICO charges are weaponized against Black people. It is true that the criminal system does go on a fishing expedition and will overuse taxpayer dollars just trying to get a particular. That's true. You do see the criminal system decide, I want to get this. I don't like this thing. I don't like how much power they have. That's true. I think there's different arguments to be made about whether or not you think it's an overreach and overuse of RICO and stuff like that. And I don't like when the criminal system decides I lost on this level, so let me try and win on this other. I don't like that either. But those are all different separate conversations from this being an abuser. But they will take that kernel of truth. There is that kernel of truth that exists there and take it to use it to be safe. Oh, instead of, if he gets convicted on anything else, you're right. It's not going to be, they're not going to use it as, they're not going to say, see, well, he got convicted of some things. They're going to say, all that is proof to the criminal system. They were desperate to get him. And when they want to get you on something, they'll get you on something. So I think I think the people who are hell-bent on absolving and vindicating Diddy, there's
Don't have
nothing that's going to
evidence.
happen
Yeah.
from here on that's going to change that for them. Because even if he were to get a lot of time, they would say, see, they couldn't get this on all the charges, but they still went out of their way to try to give him the max and whatever. They're still going to see it as the state just unfairly retaliating against them.
Hey, so it's the judge that decide how much time to get, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sentencing.
Wait, the jury decides?
No,
the
no,
judge.
the judge is
The judge.
sentencing.
Oh,
Judge.
and you know, before we got on, Olay and I were talking about her video for like the season finale of You, and talking about like the way that, I don't know if you guys watched You on Netflix or finished it, but
I ain't watched
they
the last
basically
one.
so they make a commentary. I won't spoil it, but they make a commentary about how like people, the audiences or the public, when they find out about like serial killers, like people's fascination with like true crime, that they, like Ted Bundy, that they become more infatuated with them, more obsessed, and that people, and I wonder if like Diddy's entire trial, this whole thing, the fact that his name has been the most relevant it's been in over a decade, has made people just more sympathetic to him. And why that is, because you don't see this happen to Munez from CBS or like Harvey Weinstein. We don't see people like picketing and being like, we need these men. Like, and Harvey Weinstein made some great movies. Like, it's not like these people didn't contribute anything to the culture or like to society in general. So like, what is it about P. Diddy who's like not a rapper, not a singer, not like, what is he?
I think they did. I think we're just not white.
He's tied to greats. He's seen as having, even if he himself is not the rapper, he's the one who put the rappers that people love in those positions.
Mm-hmm.
You tie a Biggie to him, who is like everything.
Mace, Danny Kane, Day 26.
So you do, right, exactly. You do that.
But when those
band.
artists are alive today to speak out against him, and then we don't care. Like, we care about the music, but it's like we don't care what any of his. If Biggie was alive today, he would be testifying against that man. Like, Danny Kane is speaking out against him.
I'm like, listen, I love Biggie. That's my favorite rapper. I got a Biggie Funko Pop somewhere, like several. Biggie not the best. You listen to them lyrics, but Biggie would probably not be testifying against him. Biggie was beating the shit out of Lil Kim, being a terrible. Just go read the lyrics to Dead Wrong and call that a day. That
Biggie would have been taking a part of those probably.
I'm telling you, he'd be named in
slanging major dick through there.
I also think what it is though. I think the internet is so interesting. You realize. I think what it is we're Black. So anything with like Black entertainers and stuff feels huge, whereas those white people's own feels underpaid attention. But that's just because our zeitgeist, our timeline, our community's not paying attention to it. Because white people be talking about Danny Masterson, Harvey Weinstein, all these Me Too until they blue in the face. They be talking. I'm telling you, I have a whole nother white side of my, like, I got y'all, this Olay in France, we have Olay and Chill. I promise you, the white people are talking about the white accusations just as much. We just ain't in any way paying attention to that.
Amber Heard shit.
Yes.
White accusations.
They heard until they not. Because I will say I was able to slide into the white world a little bit with that Amber Heard, Johnny Depp shit. And what I tell you is, goddamn, there's a lot of cross-cultural semantics and antics that we use to justify some bullshit. It's like, man, talking about, I just always think, man, you at the cookout. Feel me? And your niece come through with an old ass.
But do you think that like the charges against him, the trial has only made people go up for him even more?
I think that they were always
martyrism. I swear to God,
he has been a force for decades. If anything, I think went up for Diddy less than usual. You know what I mean? The fact that I think the fact that the Cassie stuff, we had the video, there's even this like loud opposition movement of like people like us with platforms and yada, yada, yada. I honestly think Diddy's gotten less love than he would have gotten in a different time. You know what I mean? And in a different time period, in my mummy's time period, they'd have been calling Cassie everything but a child of God on every single platform.
And I agree with that. Like when I go back and think about how we did the 16-year-old girl that Diddy peed, that R. Kelly peed on.
13.
We all was a 13-year-old girl we say R. Kelly peed on, that we all seen the footage on and shit like that, and think about the language that was put towards that girl's body and how much her parents was blamed, how much she was blamed, and how much it was made light of. How many stand-up comic. Come on, man. We seen so much of this shit. So it's like, what, this happened in 2001, 2002?
Yeah.
Oh,
They be
you
making
dirty?
bits. Like there's certain things. There's at least a certain level of general uncouthness, understanding of you. If you are somebody that's just outright shitting on Cassie and victims, and we relegate you to a side of the internet for ignorant people. Like we know it's disgusting over there. It's red pill over there. Like you are associated with an elk
But
versus
15, 20 years
it
ago,
was everybody.
mainstream.
That was everybody.
Mainstream.
That was everybody.
Mainstream. As a
But
matter of fact, we the weirdos. We the
that's my
weirdos for saying that
issue.
they shouldn't happen.
And that's my issue with like algorithms and the fact that people just stay in these because you forget. I literally I saw if you guys know like Feminista Jones, I remember like recently she made a post on Threads and she was like, I'm so sheltered because all of my friends are smart and I forget how dumb some of y'all can be. And like it's true, like I forget that there's a whole corner of the internet that's just oh right, y'all are actually like really just disgusting people.
I have many comment sections. I know, I never forget.
Well, I know I do too. I got
I got
many
it,
comment sections, goddamn, and I know when you go to different I feel like in the most respectful way, Twitter and Facebook have a lot of similarities in the types of people that comment and the types of arguments that they make that they believe is super rational. And what I figured out with these two unique apps right here is that these the people that's used to being the smartest person in a room full of dumbasses, and they used to being able to pontificate and come off as being persuasive and making where they can make statements that's false and feel like they gonna be not questioned, and used to being able to almost like out debate people in the most shittiest ways to be able to prove something. And it's just like they get on Twitter and Facebook and they believe they can do that with you. And it's like, hey man, I read some books. I know what you're talking about. It's not, I know what you're saying ain't real. But to me, it's just like
it's like Joe Budden in conversation with Mark Lamont Hill.
Yeah, it's like it's like that to the point where it's like, hey, it's gonna be interesting to see what clips come out from them talking about this.
Yeah.
Because they've already tried to jump Mark Lamont Hill and say, how come he never takes, you know what I'm saying? How come he never supports men?
Yeah,
Mark Lamont Hill asked him, like,
he's
well, shit, when I make a bad claim. I'm not talking about this time, but in general, and it's like, yeah, that is the common sense. Like, that's the common sense.
They can't believe I've peeked that in all the comment sections of that entire side of the internet. They cannot possibly believe that women could be right or something could be wrong or could be worth considering a woman's perspective or how something affects women if you are not interested in just trying to sleep in it. Like you have to be pandering. There is no way you could. They genuinely cannot believe that a man could genuinely empathize with women, understand women, think misogyny is wrong, think it's worth calling out like sexism and misogyny without it just being a performative ploy to women because that's how they move. Like that's
it's the same way, but it's the same line of thinking that leads people to believe that every time Conscious stands up for like queer people, then it's because he's low down. Like, you Conscious must be gay. It's
transaction.
Like, oh God forbid. Like I just have morals. Like,
oh no, you trying to get some. So which one of the prize you done slid into Conscious to be? To me, it shows it's all transactional. To me, it shows that you cannot do nothing at the kindness of your heart. Or more folks say, like, it's, to me, in the hood, we talking to me, it's like all across the country, being real versus being fake. It's about being authentic a lot of times and having a certain amount of integrity to make it where you don't expect for me to do something for you or vice versa because something else happened. But for some reason, when it comes to advocacy about justice, if you say, hey, man, respect women, you feel me? Women are human beings. You know what I'm saying? And they should get paid equally. Oh, you trying to ain't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, trans women are women and they shouldn't be killed at 35. Oh, you trying to see what trans women, ain't you?
Because we condition men to think that the way in which they engage with women is supposed to be based on wanting something. You're supposed to be nice and sweet and charming if you are trying to get the draws. Like that's what it is. Otherwise, what purpose is there for us? That's how they see it. If you listen to these same men, these same platforms, whatever, like women not funny, women not smart, women annoying, they hate women. They don't think women have any value to you but sex. So in their mind, why on God's green earth would you be saying something? You can't think a nice thing about women. You can't truly think women are equal. So you must be
unless you trying to get some.
Exactly.
Like what's the ends the means to the ends?
Yeah, I saw a post recently that said I realized I was gay the day I realized I actually like women. I fear for the Tyler Perry movie that's gonna come out of this. So I just want to use this time to tell Tyler
screaming.
Perry to just not
I'm
to tell Tyler
screaming.
Perry to just not, because he's going to,
Man,
and he's
I
gonna be
feel like Tyler
Taraji.
Perry, man. I feel like, man, Tyler Perry sometimes get a lot of, I feel like, just bad press. Because in my mind, be like, listen, man, is he doing some? Does he engage in racial pathology around black people and black women specifically? Yes. But in my mind, like everything consumed is that. So for me, it'd be like, what's the uniqueness with him? Because motherfuckers ain't bringing out think pieces about Zeus the way they come at, you know what I'm saying, at Tyler Perry.
Hey,
I be thinking
listen,
like,
You do.
I
but hey,
agree.
last thing
Niggas ain't talking.
I enjoyed the 1960 whatever it was with the women that went to the military. I enjoyed that.
Oh,
That's because
yeah.
he didn't write it.
Yeah.
That's because he didn't write that
See,
one.
hey, but I also
But my
enjoyed. I was a little critical and felt a little cringe in different parts of it, but I overall enjoyed the shit he did with Taraji P Henson. Like I come from around, I know I got family members living like that right now.
I
You
gone
feel
to
me? I
say
ain't making
like
enough money to be able to shoot them every time they ask for some, but when I can, I shoot them some. But they shoveling shit. They eat sleep for dinner and
I had
shit.
this
They'll call me
convo with
right, man.
Deshaun.
Can I get $10? It's $10.
I had this conversation with Deshaun recently that I think people have gotten. I've said this a lot, I really don't like the whole we don't need no more black drama movies and da da da. I really don't think people. I think people have forgotten like not wanting to see problematic media. I mean, this is my whole most recent Illuminati production was about that people should watch, like how this didn't age well has destroyed media literacy. People do not understand media as supposed to be one, like historical, like a record keeper. We are supposed to have media that represents the different things that have happened, bad and all. More importantly, I think my friend Chris Belair made this point to me that when Tyler Perry first started, while you might feel like, oh, he's done these narratives to death or whatever now, is when he first started doing them, what made them so celebrated is that people felt like these narratives were not being representative. Were not being represented. These kinds of stories weren't happening. And I also think there is like Tyler Perry made a point once that I think that was really silly. And it was essentially like, shut the fuck up. I make what like this thing. But he's
Sometimes you
essentially
gotta
like,
just
just
say it,
what's
bro.
up.
Like
I make this kind of the that watch my shit, watch because they like it. You don't harass nobody else who makes only soaps, only this, only that, or whatever. This is what the I make. This is what I do.
and that's
Like this
really
is
how I
like
feel with him
Okay, but
too.
no, but
Like
here's my
the
thing.
art ain't made for you.
Sorry, but
No,
Tyler
no,
Perry said, the great Tyler Perry once said,
hey,
"Shut the fuck up."
like, and
no,
I'm
no,
not
but
saying
here's
that.
my
Let me
thing.
be clear. Let me finish. I don't think it's not. I'm not saying that there aren't things to be critiqued. There are a million things to be critiqued
Yeah,
about
he do
Tyler
that. Be
Perry's
like, bro, that was tropey.
content,
That
and
was
I
very
think the
tropey.
problem is, and the larger discussion is that what Tyler Perry, your rights, you have as many rights insofar as they don't affect other people's rights. If it was just a matter of Tyler Perry wanted to do everything by himself and yada yada yada, if it didn't also mean he was exploiting his workers by overworking everybody, like, oh, I'm trying to rush these productions, I'm like, being cheap and lousy about it. That's a whole different thing in the larger infrastructure. But to just his general, I want to buy my self, write my stories. These are the kind of stories I want to tell X, Y, Z. I'm like, I get that. I also think there's an air of we be like, it's very easy. I've noticed this, and I don't know if this is my own personal self-awareness. I don't know if other people have it, but I remember when Insecure came out, that's when I realized like there was different kind of like what really spoke to certain kind of, and I realized like I'm an insecure and like this is my elk of black people of middle class black. I realized where I fell, and I think what happens is I be hearing a lot of insecure and like that kind of nigga decide that they're sick of hearing this story. Like, okay, we got it. And I think on some level, there's a lot of people like similarly situated to me that even though they're like, yeah, like I know whatever, it's like representative, or they don't truly think all like Tyler Perry stories are that real. You know what I mean? And I'll be go talking to other people and realize like, oh no, these would seem like
real
crazy,
stories,
ridiculous.
man.
No, absolutely.
And so I think
my criticism of Tyler Perry is not that like the stories aren't real or authentic or don't represent anyone. My thing is that Tyler Perry, I'm gonna say 7 or 8 years ago, fell in love with plot twists, and he turned them into just like, and this is where the story just jumps to a whole other place. Like,
you're
No, but
1% right.
bro,
You're
that movie
100% right.
with Kat Graham, when I tell you, I was prepared to write a whole Substack email about Tyler Perry finally nailing a good movie. And in the last 20 minutes, he turned her like highfalutin best friend into some ghetto bitch from the Bronx with a curly wig and a leather jacket. for no reason other than she suddenly was evil. And I was like, what is this plot twist?
Okay, but even beyond the plot twist, to go back to it though, as someone who grew up in a very Tyler Perry loving household, I went to see Medea live. Like I spent months.
I see Medea live.
Bitch. I was
Me too.
in a good seat too in Augusta. Okay, like,
In Augusta,
you had to drive for it. I think that when Tyler Perry first started out, he really was creating content that wasn't being created for an audience that wasn't being seen, which was often like a churchy, like exhausted Black woman.
Melodramatic. Yeah.
That and it was giving soap opera, so I was okay with it being a little bit more dramatic than whatever. And it was you was gonna have a killer, random song bust out, and all that types of stuff. Cool. As he has become wealthier and wealthier, his content has shifted too, and I think that is worth noting. The most recent, or it's not the most recent one, but Medea Homecoming or whatever one that I was watching on Netflix, I was just like, oh, this is like conservative propaganda. And to know that you are putting this in front of an audience that wants to feel something that is very healing. And
I agree with that.
It was scary. Like I was watching it like, what
I agree
watching right now,
completely
because he doesn't surround himself by a soundboard or a team of writers, he is allowed to have those narratives go untouched. So it goes from being, this is an exhausted Black woman who needs an affirming message, to damn, it's always a dark-skinned Black man who's evil. It's always a dark-skinned Black woman who's being taken advantage of. It's always that the cop is like the good guy, or but like, because
that's what I was gonna say. So
anti-cop, and the recent content is not that.
So Tyler, so this is funny enough. This is what I want to, I didn't want to talk about this. This is what I want to make my larger Illuminati production about in a month, about my actual problem with Tyler Perry media is the propaganda. But that's the one thing, that's my thing is the Tyler Perry gripes that become popular that everybody's expected to opt on to, that everybody judges before. I don't agree with. Like when they be like, Tyler Perry hates Black women. I think that's a far too reductive like assessment of it. Like, but I do agree that Tyler Perry's content is riddled with propaganda, conservative propaganda. And I think from the beginning, not even just like recently and everything, in Diary of a Mad Black Woman, the evil Black man is a defense attorney whose consequence, how you got your money, you wicked, is representing these evil crime doing who then shoots your ass, and that's like the propaganda is there from the beginning. Tyler Perry has been a propagandist since day one, and more importantly, not even by mistake. Tyler Perry is on record. You could go look it up right now. Type in Tyler Perry loves police, and you will pull up a million articles. Tyler Perry will tell you everything about how he loved the police. You need more police, better dynamics, better relationship with the police, and it shows up in everything. I was watching again as a person who watches Tyler Perry shit, and bruh. Every time, so what Kevin is saying, how Tyler Perry will disappoint you, right? When you think he's about to be on your side. Yes, I pay for BET Plus to watch the male spinoff of Sisters. Thank you. That's how much I watch Tyler Perry shit. And I know that's how I can make these great examples, is that every time you say to what Kevin was saying that Tyler Perry's about to do right, and like, he's good representation, he's spinning on you. Like, and bruh, he introduces a trans character, like, who was played by Quay Tan, who I love. She's been on Olay Friends. Amazing. Brings in Quay, okay, and that's the love interest, and it seems like, okay, the storyline they're gonna address, normalizing dating trans women. He makes her a cop, and that becomes he makes her a cop, and that becomes central to identity. But I was like, look at you, I can't even. Look how you trying to trick me. You tried to get me on board with trans rights, and have the propaganda. Like, look, I'm on to you. I can't even object to this character. I see what you've done. This police.
And that's what I want to dig into, because again, he does great things. I think Tyler Perry is paying Black actors and actresses more than they're being paid by anybody else.
Yeah.
He is creating a pipeline for talent in that sense. But he has created a bubble around the writer's room that allows the propaganda to be very strategically.
There's no writer's room. It's just him.
Right, exactly. It's him in a room, but there's like a figurative person at the door making sure no one can come in and like say, hey, because in a writer's room, you have someone say, I like this idea. And then someone else can be like, okay, but did you think about this? And because he refuses to have that soundboard, it's like, it makes me feel like you want to protect yourself from accountability.
I think, that's my thing, is like, I understand that critique. I get it. I get why I get why we don't like it. And I get why it doesn't work, why it's happening, right? Because there isn't this writer's room. But at the same time, I'm like, the only reason I don't like that is because I don't like what you're saying. I don't share your political viewpoint, your political, like, That's what it is. That's my problem. Versus a lot of people, the average Black person does not agree with me. You know what I mean? Like that's more importantly.
Yeah,
I don't.
really.
For me, that's my thing. It's like to me to act like when people talk about this critique of Tyler Perry, they make him out to be like this insidious, wicked that's like trying to like spread evil propaganda rather than he has like average problematic views and he just wants to write his own shit. And like for me, I'm like, I only think that's problematic because I don't like what you're saying. I have 6 channels. I write all my content. I don't want nobody. I don't got no research. I do everything by myself. I only want my narrative. The only reason I have a problem with Tyler Perry on is because I don't like his views. And I'm like, I don't really feel like I feel like it's my right to critique that. The media analysis is important to critique, to point out the propaganda in it, but I don't necessarily know if it's my right to think he's wrong to make it. And people like, to me, it goes from like, I understand not liking Tyler Perry's content, thinking it's not good enough, thinking it's not up to snuff, thinking that it would be better with writers. And to me, that's a reason to not engage it, but like to not watch it. But when what people do is they're like, oh, I don't like it. I don't like the messages. I don't like there's a writer's room. Evil fuck this. Everybody should see Tyler Perry. What Tyler Perry doing and making is a wicked shit. And I disagree with that. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that's the like where I come to, I'm like, I watch Tyler Perry stuff and give it flack all the time. I be in the crib like.
I was mad how he did me on Black Beauty and Black and Beauty. First season was amazing. Second season, like, nigga, what the fuck going on?
Yes, it's amazing.
Second season, I was like, man, Kimmy, what the fuck you got going on? I'm here to support Sis T.S. Madison. What she had, but I got her on the trophy. Just
he made T.S. Madison a criminal in the first episode.
Oh yeah,
and she ate that role the fuck up.
I just want to say
she ate it up. She was so good.
I just want to say before Olay does that thing where she like suddenly ends the episode, I just want to point out this is the third episode of Olay and Friends that I take us completely off the rails. I am the Tyler Perry of Olay and Friends.
Right, thank you.
Jennifer Lopez, Childish Gambino,
like I can't hold you. That was.
Hey, what this means too though is that we will be seeing the Diddy Tyler Perry collaboration coming soon.
I hope not.
We're gonna see it coming soon.
I think Tyler Perry just had that lawsuit. I think it would behoove him to not go be standing next to like Diddy right now. He should go. I think he's gonna go keep a low profile.
You just want to take the black man down. But you don't want to see black man. You don't want to see black men uniting and playing together. See, that's what.
Hell no. Hell no.
Tyler Perry is asking Diddy for his attorney's information right now.
What's better than one billionaire? You minding your business, okay? How about that? Hell no.
Stop what you're doing and listen up. You just watched a video on one of my channels, but the Illuminati verse is huge, and I want to tell you what everything is and how to find it. The Illuminati verse has 6 channels. On the YouTube homepage of any one of those channels, every single channel in the Illuminati verse is featured at the bottom of the page, so you can always easily find them. Okay? Remember I said that. Don't say I ain't tell you how to find it. Subscribe to my main channel, Illuminati, to find my Illuminati productions, which are my long-form video essays and also all of my backlog of content. Subscribe to my second love child, Illuminati Pop, for my weekly video essays analyzing my favorite TV and movie shows and characters. Illuminati Pop also has its own Patreon where you get all of those videos uncensored. Subscribe to my channel, Olay and Friends, for my podcast, Olay and Friends. New episodes of Olay and Friends come out every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe to Olay and Chill for new episodes of my podcast, Olay and Chill, every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And also, both Olay and Friends and Olay and Chill are both available on streaming platforms like Spotify. Subscribe to Illuminati Bites if you want my takes, but you don't have an hour to spend. Subscribe to Illuminati Politics for my political analysis and my State of the Union type addresses on my show O Squared. And last but not least, subscribe to my Substack Illuminati for my written work.